to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Shi?
Here.
Mrs. Maroney?
Here.
Mr. Ward?
Here.
Mrs. Madiker?
Here.
Mr. Errico?
Here.
Mrs. Peng?
Here.
Mr. Brescher?
Here.
Mr. DeStefano?
Here.
Mrs. Patel?
Here.
All present.
Opening statement. The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provision of this act, the Edison Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted in the Board of Education administrative offices. Copies of the notices were sent to the Home News Tribune and the Star-Ledger on January 8th and 23rd, 2018, and June 4th, 2018. The public may participate at regular meetings in accordance with the bylaws and the applicable state regulations. So, first up, we have 4 meeting minutes for the month of April. Any board members who have any questions about these minutes can contact Mr. Michaud. So let's move on. Superintendent report, Dr. O'Malley.
Thank you, Mr. Shi. The first item on the agenda is the approval of 16 administration appointments. This is for the 2018-19 school year. They range from compliance officer to our security plans. If anybody didn't have any questions on any of those appointments or any of the plans that are on there. Seeing none, moving on. The next one is the evaluation rubric. If you recall, last year we implemented a new rubric for the teachers that we did and created here in the district. And so annually we have to approve that rubric, and this is the approval for the rubric to be used in the 18-19 school year. Item C is the asking the board to approve the current board policies and bylaws that we have that exist for the subsequent school year. Then we have graduation coming up on next Wednesday the 20th, and Edison High will be first at 4:30, and then J.P. Stevens to follow at 8 o'clock. We'll have some recognition, student recognition, our final one of the year, over 300 students to be recognized on Monday night for their accomplishments throughout the last quarter of the school year. Moving on to professional development curriculum and instruction, we have several additions to our professional development. If anyone has any questions regarding any of those items on the approval documentation. And then we'll move on finally to the pupil special services. There are 4 items there: out-of-district placements, a list of all of the self-contained classes that we have for the 2018-19 school year. You can see there's quite a few that we have in district that we've created. And I think that's pretty substantial, and given that students get service in the district, is in their home district, as well as cost savings to the district. 89 professional service plans. This are many different service providers that we use throughout the year in Department of Special Services, and so we ask for those, even though sometimes we have to add additional ones on throughout the course of the year. And then finally, approval for one more class to be housed at JMI. And that would, if there are no other questions, that will complete my report.
Thank you. Is this an administrative report?
All right. Yeah. All right, if you turn to your investment page, you'll see that for the month of May, we received interest in the amount of $25,739.90. That brings our annual amount up to $239,695.33. The next 6 pages is the board secretary's report for the month of month of April, I mean. And following that is the Treasury School Monies report for the same period of time. And then I have a lengthy report for resolutions that will be presented for Monday night. The first one's for a transfer of funds in the amount of $986,000. You'll note 2 larger ones that are probably going to come up again next month. Related services are the special services that we are going to do, the professional services we just talked about. Dr. O'Malley was mentioning. We have 89 of them right now, and we did increase this in the budget for next year. However, this year, with the number of special ed students we have currently, the services, cost of those services has increased quite a bit. And the other one happens to be the jointures for the Ed Service Commission, which are also special ed. As we've been discussing throughout the year, we have a lot of problems with getting drivers, and even our contractors don't have enough drivers. So we've been sending a lot of special ed runs over to the Ed Service Commission. And as you'll see when we get to the bid, some of the numbers are getting astronomical per day for those routes, to the tune of some are getting close to $100,000 a route. In the past, they usually run between 20 and 30,000, so we're getting some very expensive ones. So that's another one that's probably going to hit us again next month. Again, on some of the from accounts, we do still have some, as you'll note when you go to personnel, you'll see that we still have quite a number of people out on unpaid leaves. So I'm getting some additional breakage, so I'm using some of those funds. And because of the Omnia, and we still have more people than I anticipated for Omnia, I'm getting some savings in that area. And because we've been having some decent weather, our natural gas bid, number one, was lower than I anticipated, and our usage has been reduced this year, so that's helped. The second one is for the trailers at we have 2 trailers at Lincoln, 2 trailers at Marshall. We're using some capital reserve funds for that. It's in the amount of $750,000, which I anticipate I might need a little bit more than that, because originally the proposal was $850. I was hoping we can get it under $750, but I might need to appropriate a little bit more next month to cover those trailers. They should be ready by July 1, by the way.
So they are being installed.
They're already at both locations, and they're being right now set up to be usable as of July 1.
Thank you.
Item number 3, this is a list of our depositories, all of our different bank accounts with Investors Bank. These are your account numbers and the different accounts we currently operate with. You'll also note that the authorization for the warrants are signed by Mr. Shi and myself. That's authorized by the board also. And then also below that, you'll see there's 11 different financial institutions that we can use for investments. So we just need approval for those also. Those are the ones we currently use this year.
Can we add anyone?
I can add as many as you want. Yep.
Something good.
And when I do get a proposal from someone, if it looks like it's a good proposal, I will add them during the year.
Thank you.
As far as the investors, school money investing for the year, for next year, we're appointing myself as the investor for 18-19. The 5th one is the authorization for purchasing of goods and services, and we're following the state rules regarding this purchase order system in advance. The qualified purchasing agent, which is what I'm qualified as a purchasing agent, our bid limit will be $40,000, and the quote low will be $6,000, which is 15% of the bid limit. I'm authorized again to do bids for advertisement for bids, and the purchase order system itself. No purchase order goes out without my signature on it. And everyone knows that we have to have purchase orders in advance of any purchases. Otherwise, the vendor may not be paid, and they know that already. Item number 6, travel and related expense reimbursement. This is a state and federal requirement. And as you see, every single month we have a professional documentation for travel. Anything exceeds $150, we have to have a pre-approval by the board. This is what the resolution will say. And we have a total amount for next year's budget in total, including workshops, of $231,500 for all employees. Number 7 is setting up next year's petty cash fund. It's been $300 ever since I've been here, and it's a maximum per expenditure of $50. We just replenish it as the $300 gets depleted. We replenish it on a timely basis. Number 8 is the uniform chart of accounts. These are the accounts set up by the state, and obviously we have to use those, so but we have to have board approval to use those. Item number 9 is our designation of official newspapers, and we have been using the same papers, the Star Ledger and the Home News and Tribune, for a number of years now, and we'd like to continue to. Number 10 is a designation of our tax shelter annuity providers. These are the ones that we have currently approved. On quite a number of occasions, I have someone else who wants to come in, but after I review their portfolios, if I feel that they will be a benefit to our employees, I would put them on. Otherwise, I try to limit it to 10. Otherwise, I could have 50 or 100 on here, and that gets to be a little bit unmanageable. So Right now, these are the ones we have listed. We want to designate admin partners for the, this is for the 403B and 457 investments. The money goes to them. We don't pay them a dime. They're paid for by the providers, but I'd like to have those approved for next year. Number 12 is a cancellation of outstanding warrants that are over a year old. The warrants themselves, we had a total of $10,794.96. And then the salary accounts, these are checks. Most people are on direct deposit, but we do have some smaller checks, as you can see, that have not been cashed for over a year, and we're writing those off, $22,626.45 worth. Item number 13, state contract vendors. Every year, the state requires us to list our state contract vendors that we use during the year. We only have to do it once during the year, so we do it at the end of the year because we never know which state contract vendors we may be using. So if I do it too early in the year, I got to do it a second time. So we always wait till the June meeting. Item number 14, this is for the grant. This is a very popular grant, and board members are very aware of this. And we're always getting all kind of first and second place finishes on the FCCLA. We're again entitled to $146,500 for the FCCLA grant for next year. So I need board approval to submit that grant for next year, and once we get approval, we'll have the board accept those funds. Item number 15, we're notified about our allocation for IDEA and IDEA preschool. The number is slightly higher, not very much, but very slightly higher than it was last year, as you can see. It's up by about $100,000 on a $3.6 million numbers. Now it's up to 3.7. And IDEA, that went up by about $4,000. Item number 16, now this is our first attempt to go out to bid for routes that we did not renew this year. We were able to renew this year some. The state would have allowed us to go up to 1.51%. We only offered, first we offered 0, but we couldn't get any takers, so we offered 1%, and we got our major contractors to take the 1% for next year. These are routes that we felt the price was too high, or we were not happy with their performance. However, you're going to see there's quite a number of them I'm rejecting. I looked at what we're paying currently for those routes versus what the bids came in at. The ones that were close or a little bit higher than they were before, I'd say an okay to. But you're seeing some numbers that are astronomical: $300 and $315 for a route plus $80 for an aid. I mean, that to me, that's just excessive. So we want to try to go out again. So I'm recommending that we reject most of these bids. And you'll also see that we have some that have no bidder at all. So we're going to attempt it again. If the board goes along with a recommendation, we will award some, the ones that are listed, and we're going to reject the rest and put them out for bid again on Tuesday next week after our board meeting.
So then I asked you this before, so what, these are the routes we have. If we don't have the bidders, what are we going to do? Go to
the Ed Service Commission. What we're going to do is we're going to put all these back out for a second bid.
Yep.
If they come in this high again, or if I don't get any bidders at all on some of these routes, we automatically go to the Ed Service Commission. And we have the option of going to not only Middlesex, we can go to Somerset, and we can go to Union.
Okay.
So we have a few options with that.
Thank you.
Item number 17, we wanted to bid for the last several years on our toner on our own. However, this year I ended up with a company that came in with a really inexpensive price, but I found the toners were not very reliable. We had to send quite a few back, that they were leaking in the printers.
Refurbished?
We used Treehouse in the past, and actually the Ed Service Commission actually went out to bid, and Treehouse won their bid. And they did a nice job for us last year. So I'd like to go with their bid on this and give it to Treehouse for next year. The quality is much, much better. It's a little bit more expensive than the one we have currently, but they were much more reliable toner cartridges. 18, now you're gonna see quite a number of bids. These are cooperative bids we got from from Ed Data. That's our cooperative bidding consultant we use. They go out to bid statewide. They have over 300 districts that do cooperative bidding with them. So they put our numbers in with theirs, so the numbers are huge. And these are the actual numbers for the bids that they came in every case, the lowest bid for athletic supplies, your AV supplies, your family consumer science supplies, your fine arts, your general supplies for classroom supplies, your health and trainer supplies, your library supplies. You'll see that there's a number of vendors here, because what they do in this case, if it's a long list of 200 items, they go with the lowest one in every case. So the one vendor may not have the lowest price on all the things. They might have it on 50, and somebody else might have it on 100. So we split it up and give it to the lowest bidder in every single case. You got your library supplies, your lumber supplies, your math supplies, your computer supplies, your phys ed supplies, your science supplies. So it's pretty much everything that's educational supply-wise. We go through ed data because they do come in with huge discounts on some of these materials. Special needs supplies, teaching aid supplies, technology supplies, world language supplies. Number 33 is the boiler cleaning. Now, Allied Boiler has won our bid in the past. As a matter of fact, we can bid up. We went to go to bid on it. We awarded it to them because they were the lowest bidder. They've been our boiler cleaning company and boiler maintenance company for a number of years, and they do a great job. And they again came back and said they would do it for the same exact price they did it 2 years ago. This is my last year I can renew them, but I'm recommending we renew them for 1 more year. The total amount to clean all the boilers in the whole district is $24,800. The 35 is the boiler maintenance and repairs. Again, this is on an hourly basis. You can see what the hourly rate is. They're holding that rate, again, the same, and the material markup's 10%. Number 36 is our HVAC contractor. J.R. Vaccaro does a great job for us. You can see what his rates are. His material cost is 20% increase, but we'd like to renew that one also for another year. Building materials, we went out to bid 2 years ago in 2016, and this is a unit price bid. It's a long list of different lumber materials, plywood and 2x4s and all kind of stuff, and they came in with the lowest bid, and we'd like to recommend them for 1 more year. Our masonry, we wanted to bid for that back in 2016. We can renew it for 1 more additional year. We're recommending to go with Mario's Concrete and Paving. He came in substantially lower than anybody else at that time, and he's holding the price the same. Door replacements, this was a bid that we had in 2016 also for door replacements. C&M Door has been doing that. I think he's the biggest contractor in the state regarding just door replacements, and we'd like to recommend him for another year. Bus maintenance, I don't know how this guy does it, but he does it for $30 an hour. That's astronomically low for repairing our vehicles. So we'd like to renew him. He's willing to do it for another year for $30 an hour. And you also notice that towing is no charge. Anytime we have a breakdown somewhere, he goes and gets it for free. And he charges $30 an hour, and the parts are 15% markup. The next one is a cooperative bid with data for our pest control. We'd like to award it to Alliance Commercial Pest Control, which is the lowest bid that they came in with. The next one is our 42 is our resolution to participate with the Ed Service Commission of New Jersey for all the services they provide. This gives us a blanket for any of the services they currently provide we can take part in. Number 43 is to permit the Ed Service Commission to take care of our Title I and IDEA non-public monies. We get money from those are federal grants. We get money for the non-public schools. But we allow them to actually handle the purchases for all of those. Those are the supplies we get monthly from the Ed Service Commission for the non-public schools, and we have to approve them before they can order them. If you remember those every month, I'm sure you do. So we just approved the Ed Service Commission for next year to handle our non-public federal funds. The next one is our interlocal purchase agreement. We just had a township liaison meeting where we discussed this again, but every year we do an interlocal purchase agreement with the township, where they can purchase off our bids, we can purchase off their bids, whichever one has the more advantageous pricing. So we do give ourselves the opportunity to work off each other's bids. Number 45 is the appointment of our auditor for next year, Hodgkin & Morrison. We've had them for a number of years. They do a great job. The annual fee is $55,650. So we'd like to have that approved for Monday. Then we have an appointment of our athletic physician, Dr. Rusinello. He has $50 an hour. He does the physicals for the athletics participants. Planning of care. We have a planning of care plan that has to be approved every year. It's put together by our athletic directors, and we have to have that approved, and we'll have that on the agenda for Monday. Our school physician, $15,000 for the year, Dr. Aziz. That's for any students that we have to send for a checkup of any kind. He handles that for us. Item number 49, these are a list of all of our software vendors that we deal with and the amounts that we're recommending for next year. Some are a little bit higher than they were the previous year, but in every case, we're happy with the service, and we'd like to recommend those for Monday. The appointment of our bidding consultant, this is educational data, the one I was talking about with all those bids we had. Right now, it's costing us $22,500 for their service. We go through the Ed Service Commission. It used to cost us $25,000, but when the Ed Service Commission did this for every district in the county, they gave us a 10% discount on that, so we went down to $22,500. Item number 51, roofing management. We have an architect we've been using for a number of years. His specialty is roofing, and we'd like to appoint him. It's on an hourly, as-needed basis for $125 an hour, and if we have any construction projects, roofing projects, he will do it at 4%. Item number 52 is the approval of next year's lunch prices, and we're holding them the same, exactly the same where they were for the last 6-7 years. Elementary schools at $2.75, middle schools at $3, and high schools at $3.25. Reduced lunch is 40 cents, milk is 50 cents, and adult lunch is $4.50. Number 53 is the approval of next year's breakfast prices, and we're holding those the same also. All 3 levels of schools are going to be $1, so anyone can have a breakfast, any student can have a breakfast for $1, unless they're on free lunch. If they get free lunch, they get free breakfast also. Item number 54, based on our approved budget that the county approved and the board approved, the next number 54 is the tuition rates based on our budget currently. And these are obviously estimated estimated tuition numbers based on our budget. And after our budget is completed next June, the state will then certify our rates. And if we charge these rates and we didn't charge them enough, we have to go after them for the difference. If we charge them too much, we got to give them a refund. But these have to be set up by board approval. So when we have, and that is, say, a homeless student comes in from another district and I have to bill them for that, they know what the rates would be. Item number 55, right now our food service vendor handles the snacks for the Latchkey program. The Latchkey program is a township program, and they do it for 80 cents a snack. They're holding it the same, so we'd like to have that approved Monday night. Number 56 is the approval to join the school boards, New Jersey School Board Association for next year. I know this is one of Teresa's favorites. But as you know, it's a mandate. You're mandated right now, and it's still mandated to join it, but we'll have that on Monday night. 57 is to join the NJSIAA, the New Jersey State Interscholastic Athletic Association, for all of our athletics. We do that every year also. Number 58 it's only been in place for like 3 years now, but the state requires us to list for you all of the contracts that we had this year that are either going to be canceled, renewed, or awarded again, or new one's going to be awarded. So that, you'll have that list. If it's in your packet now, but that's just to approve those for the new year. The next one is for non-public school security monies. We received non-public money from the state for several different areas. One is security, and in this case, we're talking about security. Well, this one's for security monies that we got for the current year. You'll see on the next page. You'll see these are the non-public schools and the quote numbers, the non-public schools, the vendor they want to buy from, and the amounts they want to spend. Non-public money doesn't cost us anything. We just have to process the paperwork. The next one is for.
Are we getting any security money?
Huh?
Is our district getting any security?
We get security funds, yeah. We get security aid, but this is non-public money, strictly
yeah.
non-public. And number 60 is for non-public technology monies that we got this year. We had one school that wants to spend $2,400 for some technology stuff, but we need board approval for them before they can cut the purchase order. Item number 61 is a list of obsolete items that we received from several of the schools. So we'd like to have those declared obsolete. Number 62 is the bill list for May in the amount of $19,789,816. I supplied each one of the board members with a bill list, and if anybody has any questions, I've already gotten a couple calls from a few people. But if you have any questions on anything on here, please give me a call. Number 63 is a list of the routes, and we have to, and even if we renew a route, it's a triple tiered route, we have to send to the county office a list of each route separated. So this is the breakdown of each one, specifically the route with the amount of the route per day and the amount of the aid per day. And we have to submit this to the county office for them to approve our contracts for next year. and that's for your special ed, extended school year, and your regular runs for the new year. And that concludes my report, Mr. Shi.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Michaud. Now, we're open for board member open discussions. Any board member have any comments? Yes, Mr. Nolan.
So this past couple of weeks, all of the board members have been very busy running around to various schools for wonderful activities. There were two in particular that I wanted to mention. First was last week's John Adams production of Aladdin Jr. Nicole Malone is the acting director, and Frank Savarino was the musical director, and this show was amazing. Nicole Malone's mom, I truly one of the most dedicated mothers I've ever met in my life, made 450 costumes for this show. I am telling you, I don't know how the woman had a life just buying the material. And these were not simple costumes. These were extremely elaborate. The production was awesome. The charisma between the characters, Aladdin and Jasmine, was unbelievable for students in middle school age. And I know that Mr. Brescher has brought it up before, but we really need to put more money into the drama productions because these kids were having the time of their lives. Thank you to the administration there. Thank you to all the teachers and the parents and the families and all the support that John Adams has gotten. This was an unbelievable endeavor, and it really bodes well for J.P. Stevens Theater in the future. Today was graduation day at EELC, which you know has a special place in my heart. Laura French's two classes had their graduation ceremony. Teresa and I were at the 2 o'clock graduation, and I am telling you, some things happened in that graduation that were awesome. Very, very emotional day. We had one little boy who was wheelchair bound, and he had gone through enough physical therapy that came into the graduation on crutches. And it was just incredible. Kudos to all of the teachers in the preschool level. Truly, people don't understand what it's like to take a child who cannot speak at all when they come to the preschools and become so incredibly engaged and learn how to speak, and not only speak, but to sing and to dance and have the time of their lives. So amazing experience. I wanted to mention also that today was the retirement celebration of the ETEA, which we just came from a little while ago over at the Crown Plaza. There are teachers combined years of experience, over 800 years of experience we're losing this year. Congratulations to all the retirees, but as I have found in retirement, there's no such thing. And also, I attended a full-day seminar in New Jersey school boards in Trenton a couple of weeks ago on establishing an education foundation. This is a direction in which the board hopes to, move forward. We certainly can use the money for so many of the things that we, hope to do in the future. And so that was very exciting, and I will be sharing that information with members of the board going forward. And then finally, I do have a question that I would like to ask Mr. Michaud or Dr. O'Malley. It has to do with the sprint medley teams from EHS that qualified for nationals, and we had some people reach out to us regarding why they were told that they couldn't go, if they were told that they couldn't go. We're very proud of the athletes who qualified for nationals. It's a big deal. So I was just wondering, do we have any information on that? Are they going? They're not going? You never heard about it?
I haven't heard about it.
I have not heard about it.
Did not hear about it?
My response.
No.
You done?
I did respond to the young lady, and I said, I know nothing about it, but I'll look into it. And then about a day or two later, she emailed me and said, it's okay, forget about it, we're going. We've gotten permission. It was a misunderstanding somewhere along the line.
Yeah,
But
I
they
did
are going.
Right, I did correspond with her as well. you know, and, but I didn't hear that they were going, so I didn't get
mean,
that. I
they
did get
have
back from
permission.
her, but.
They have permission to go.
Okay, okay.
Yeah,
I don't know
I
if
just
they're
told them to
going.
go through the chain of command, starting with the athletic director on the way up.
Right, that's what I told her as well, but,
Yeah.
okay, thank you.
Any other board member? Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Shi. Two things. One, thank you to Mrs. Maroney for coming into South Plainfield and introducing a program that we're going to be using, that we're currently using in Edison. Also understand Mrs. Maroney was impressed with our security procedures.
Man, yes, yes, outstanding.
Also, I would like to make a recommendation. I don't know if this is part of open session, closed session, so stop me if I'm should be saying something in closed session. With the overcrowding committee as being a chair, with us saving some substantial amount, thanks to Mr. Shi and the whole board for supporting it, I would like to dedicate any money we save, and I don't know the dollar amount, and I'd like to have a resolution that we only use that money for overcrowding purposes. In other words, classrooms or things like that. So I don't know who makes that resolution, or if the board is in agreement or not. If they're in agreement, I would like to do it. If not, we'll just move on.
If that is a motion, I'll second that
I guess
motion.
you propose a motion.
That propose a
I'll
motion?
second that
Okay.
motion, yeah. So we can work
That'll be
some
on the
out.
agenda for Monday.
I would like it
We'll
to
hope
be,
so.
yes.
If
we can.
Remember,
Do you need
this
the
money has to go into
information from the
capital reserve.
administration about that?
I mean, what we're talking about is putting money in capital reserve, because and of course, I can only do it twice a year. I could do it in June, or I could do it with my budget, as I support my budget.
Yeah,
So what-
whatever you can put it, you know, but the thing that we spoke, the money we saved,
Yeah.
we don't want to be used in the general
Right,
fund.
Fund,
It's a specifically dedicated. Accounting wise, I don't know what's the best way to do it, but the spirit is that the money we saved we'll be using for the overcrowding.
Yeah. So at the end of the year, with my free balance, and I should have a substantial
Okay.
free balance with that, I would then dedicate, whatever number we have.
Right.
Into capital reserve, and we can, then, once in capital reserve, you can use it for whatever the board wants to use it
Right.
for.
Okay.
And Dan, we trust, is what we say.
Yeah.
We know you know. Yeah. Mr. Patel?
Yeah, I had a comment about the calendar. I know we've hashed.
Vote on the resolution first?
No, we don't need to vote on it.
Oh, we don't need, okay.
We'll put
I just want to make
it
sure everyone's in favor.
No,
If there's any
we'll-
disagreements,
Well, you discussed it today, but
Okay.
on Monday.
Oh, then we'll
we-
vote on it. Gotcha.
something to vote on.
Okay, thank you, I'm sorry.
It's about the calendar. I know we've hashed out the calendar a lot, but this is something that just kind of came to my attention recently. We scheduled Diwali for November 6th, and that's also Professional Development Day, and that is the only calendar holiday that we have where we're asking the staff to work, but the students are off. And what I thought what was going to happen is that they can take the day off as a religious holiday, but now what I've learned is they have to make up that day later. So I was hoping that we can maybe implement a policy that they can have the day excused completely out of fairness. If not, then in future years, if we have to schedule a professional development day along with the holiday, that we move the holiday around so that it's fair to all the staff members.
I agree. I mean, we wouldn't schedule an in-service day on Christmas, a Christian holiday, so I don't know how we could do that. I'm in agreement with Val on that one.
Yeah.
I mean, the staff should, because we do have staff that observe that holiday, they should be able to take off without penalty.
Yeah, I do agree on that too. So we'll look into
Okay, we'll
the
look and see
policy
there.
committee. We'll see if we can make some adjustments there. Thank you. Any other board members? See none, it's open for public comments. So name, address, 6 minutes.
Susan Campione, 8 Schiffer Court. I just wanted to mention, when we're talking about theater, a theater mom, and under the guidance of Darlene Rich, my daughter, I saw her flourish for 4 years. She's studying it in college. And the Farmers Insurance Thank America's Teachers, Darlene Rich is trying to get a $2,500 proposal to win that, and you can vote through the end of June, and to use money to help the J.P. Stevens Theater Program. So I was wondering whether we could send that out on district email, so at least all the teachers would be able to vote for the rest of the month, because you can vote every day using various emails. So, you know, it's been out on Facebook, and we've been sharing it, but I have not seen it go out through district email, and I would love to see her win this grant. So is that something that maybe Mrs. Polakowski or that we could do?
Dr. O'Malley said yes, so if you can just send the
link.
Link?
URL.
Okay.
And we'll do that, and we encourage everyone in the district to vote multiple times
Yes,
if you
it's
can.
farmers.com, and then it's the Thank America's Teachers, but I can, so just send the link to you? Yes? Okay, thank you.
I just
you.
wanted to add something.
Yes.
So I think Mr. Matthew Lee is also trying to get money for the choir program through the same farmers insurance thing. So
Oh, they compete the same
yeah,
thing or
so then
different?
yeah, so I hope that would also go out as well.
Yeah.
But if you have the URL.
I will send that to you.
Yes, let's just shoot out. Well, you can vote twice. Yeah.
Once per day, I think.
Is there like a
One per
limit, how
day,
many
yeah,
times
there
per day?
Once a day for the same one, but you can vote.
Every day, right.
Oh, okay. I will
I vote from 5 emails.
create more email to vote on. Okay. Any other public comments? See, okay.
Good evening, Mr. President and Board. My name's John Latimer. I'm the President and General Counsel of the Barclay Group, and we've been your insurance broker,
The microphone.
insurance risk management consultant, and insurance agent for 11 years. Some of you may have received on the 7th an email from Mr. Dittman, Bill Dittman, who's been involved with the district for 29 years, and my son, rising superstar in insurance, Timmy Latimer, is here in part for educational purposes. But we just can't go away from Edison without at least having you make an effort to understand the coverages you have, because they're so unique in New Jersey. Took us a year to put together the $400 million property tower, the unique property tower that Edison has after the James Monroe fire. And we're concerned. Normally, tonight would be the night we would come with renewal quotes and presentations at the June work session for your consideration. And while price is important, we're more about coverage. I think you saw from our proposal that we submitted that the premiums have been very stable. In fact, went down after the James Monroe fire when we were able to find the new program and build the new program. So we're just concerned. Monday would be the time you would select your property and casualty renewal company and your student accident, and talk about the bonds for Dan, excellent business administrator that supported us through this time, and Dr. O'Malley. So, as I say, there's 3 different programs there. By Monday, it would have been all resolved. I don't know where you are in the process. We do reiterate our request to meet with the board or the finance committee at any time and at least review what you have and why you have it, because it's important in these days. At some point you might have talked me out of having $400 million in property insurance for Edison. Dr. O'Malley insisted after the James Monroe fire and after the tornadoes yesterday in Wilkes-Barre. I think I don't have to spend much time highlighting that coverage is critical to Edison for its budget and its students and its people. So we wanted to introduce ourselves. Some board members we know from the James Monroe fire, and others we don't. We're here for you. There's some things that have to be done before the end of the year with respect to your quarterly safety materials in order to get the $37,000 credit. And Mr. Dittman stands ready to work with Dan to complete that. In the SAFE program, which we strongly encourage you to renew, we run a regional safety group of the dozen or so schools that we have in SAFE as founding members of SAFE. And we're here to invite Dan to continue to participate in that in order to qualify for the $37,000. Probably not your other broker, but that's a different story because we buy lunch. That would have been anyway. So, but that's available, and there's some things to tidy up. It's a big program. We've handled 400 claims for the district in the last 3 years. That's a lot. We represent dozens of districts that have, just a handful of claims, but Edison's a big district. We got you into the SAFE program because you were a cream puff, not a cream puff, but a blue ribbon excellent district, that huge district that operated more like a private school or a smaller district, many of which we represent, especially in South Jersey where they're smaller, although we had some larger ones down there. So we still think that the SAFE program is right for this district, all things considered. In our proposal at tab 7, we've highlighted the coverages. There's a zillion of them. Some are important to people, some maybe not so much. The fire alarm credit may not be important, but the cyber liability certainly is. There's optional coverages that we wanted to discuss with Edison this year in connection with your school security, and you may not believe it, but oftentimes at 4 in the morning I watch your YouTube videos. So we kind of keep tabs. It's easier to keep tabs on Edison than some of our smaller districts because there we can only either get the minutes or be invited in. So we're watching. So there's security guard liability. You have coverage now for security as long as you're not hiring your own armed security guard. So when you have a shared services with the town, you don't need the separate coverage. But as you move into the direction you're headed, we have to talk about that coverage, foreign travel liability, and some other things. So again, I wanted to introduce myself. My time is probably almost up. Mr. Rivera, yep. Did I go past?
No, you're 30 seconds.
30 seconds to wrap it up. So we're at a little disadvantage. Mr. Alamo has hired an attorney and threatened to sue us for our tortious business interference. That required us to have our outside counsel, former Supreme Court Justice Rivera Soto, respond today. So a little messy. I don't think it should be. I don't think it has to be. I don't think it should be connected to the health insurance at all. I'm done. Thank you for listening to me.
All right, thank you.
Good evening, board members. My name is Bill Dittman, and I'm a professional risk manager. I've been in the business close to 50 years and have been very lucky that I spent 29 years with the Edison Board of Ed. We lived in Edison for 27 years and educated our 3 children in each of the elementary, middle schools, and high school. And I just wanted to be able to thank you. We didn't get a chance to present ourselves to the board or to the finance committee, and I felt a void because Edison has been so good to me, and I've dedicated myself with Dan Michaud and with Dr. O'Malley to try to provide the best possible service. And when I say I'm a professional risk manager, I mean it. I would go to each one of the schools twice a year, meet with the head custodians, go to the playgrounds, go to the bleachers, just to make sure it was a safe environment for the children. So thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to spend so many years with Edison. It's a special place, a special district. The teachers, the guidance counselors that my children had were very special. I think in one of my memos, I have a special liking for this one guidance director who coaxed my son to become a patent attorney. At 15 years old, he came home and said, "Dad, I know what I want to be. A patent attorney because of my math, science, and writing skills." So if that guidance counselor hadn't told this 15-year-old to become a patent attorney, I don't know what he would be today. Who has that kind of guidance? He didn't get it from me because we never had an attorney in the family. But he had that capabilities, and today he's a partner in a 2,000 attorney firm in New York City. So thank you for having good, solid teachers and staff. And I say this staff also from head custodians. I've met them in all of the schools, and they do a wonderful job in cleaning, keeping the environment safe, and reporting, back to us if there's anything that we can do as a group. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other comments from the public? See no? Yeah? Yes, oh, sorry.
Good evening. My name is Andy Fresco. I live on Kearney Avenue in Edison. I'm going to address this to Dr. O'Malley because of the many times he's spoken how himself and the Chief of Police and Joe Shannon are taking care of the security. We just had a primary election, and I was extremely disappointed in the way it was run. There was no police officers, no security, nobody at the doors at a majority of the schools. Instead, what do? We put signs on the doors that said, "Doors open." I went to Benjamin Franklin School. I raised a ruckus on purpose. Nobody came out and confronted me. I walked the halls. Nobody stopped me. I wanted to vote it. I came back out, walked the halls. Nobody there. My question is, why wasn't anybody secure there? Did we know that there was no police officers going to be assigned? Yes or no? It's very simple. Yes, we knew. No, we didn't know. And if not, if you did know, why didn't you do something about it? Where is this big school security backup plan? Once again, you're proving what I've always said. Edison is reaction. We react. We're not proactive. We don't take a step forward. You've said on numerous occasions. You've had contact with Chief Tommy Bryan and Captain Joe Shannon. I know for a fact there was 13 officers waiting to be called for part-time. Nobody called them. Who's responsible for that? And if you did know, why didn't you assign somebody? But I'll move on. We'll go to Woodbrook School. Why were the voting booths in the hallway blocking the entrance for the school? It's a fire code violation. God forbid something would have happened to try and evacuate all those kids out that front door with construction going on in the back. You'd say, well, I'm in contact constantly. Today was a big day. We were going to have all retired police officers go for psych evaluations. They got a call last night. They were canceled. Why? Because nobody knows who's going to pay for them. You mean to tell me since the time you started until the time now, yesterday we were going to decide, right the day before, oh, we don't know who's going to pay for it? Where's the planning? Where is the planning for these children? Doors open. I walk in and out of Benjamin Franklin. Nobody there. There isn't a crossing guard. There hasn't been a crossing guard to cross the children across the way. You're not addressing anything for security purposes, the safety. We are going to wait until something happens. Wait until something happens. They buzz at school. Nobody's there to check them. Walk in. I don't want to, if you can't hire cops for $60 an hour, then you have to find some other way. Hire security officers. Hire somebody to be at those school front doors and let them people in. We got to check them. We're worried about the high schools. High schools and junior highs. High schools and junior highs. High schools and junior highs. Nobody cares about the elementary kids? Don't you just care? I mean, children? When was the last time you went to one of the grammar schools and sat in the parking lot and watched what goes on? Please, what I'd like to do is I hope each one of the board members will answer something, how they feel about this. And when was the last time you went? We have autistic children walk in the parking lots. They get dropped off. Doesn't anybody care? I mean, we talk. You talk. What have you done? And I don't want to hear, oh, we got these plans, but we can't let them out in the public. I've been around too long. Trust me. I've been around too long. I'd like to know, Dr. O'Malley, how many schools did not have were not secured with police officers or security during the primary election? You tell me how many schools. How many schools had them? I'll make it easier. How many schools had them?
I don't know the answer to that question.
Well, where does the buck stop here? Where does the buck stop? Are we going to wait until a child gets hurt? I've gone through the school system. My children have gone through the school system. I got a grandchild going through the school system. My family's been here for 50 years. This is I just can't believe we're going to wait. Is that what we're waiting for? Please, I really, somebody say something.
I would like to speak.
You don't.
Thank you for your time, folks.
I will agree that it's very erratic as to how each school at this moment in time is handling the way people come into the buildings. I've been in almost half the buildings, I would say, in the last 2 weeks on various missions. Mr. Errico mentioned that I thought the South Plainfield security was the best I've seen anywhere, so I'd like to tell you about it, and I think it's a direction that Edison needs to go. So Ian Hockley and I last week went to South Plainfield High School. So to get into the building, first of all, we were met outside by a vice principal who just happened to be walking around the building, and she escorted us to the front door of the building. There were double glass doors, but before you went into the first glass door, and I suspect it's bulletproof, although I can't swear to it. You went into the first glass door, then there was a glass window where there was only an opening big enough to put your license. You had to put your license on a screen, basically, that then goes into the head secretary. It comes up on her computer, and then they can see if you have a record, if you have a custody issue with a child in the building, everything. Then, after they cleared you with your license, you were escorted to the security desk, which was right outside the main office. There you had to sign in, write down your name and some other pertinent information, and then you were given a brightly colored badge that you had to put your name on. Then from there, you were escorted to your destination. You went and did your business, and then you were escorted back out the door. I have never seen such tight security anywhere, and South Plainfield is to be commended, and I really think that Edison needs to have a conversation with how they do it.
Thank you.
I've been there, and I agree with you. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, you wanna? Yeah.
I understand what you're saying. I read some articles on Facebook, and there were some parents that had very similar concerns. They were led to believe that we had officers inside all of our schools. And so I met with them, and I explained that the truth of the matter is we don't. And it's not because the police department doesn't want to give it to us. They just don't have the manpower available. So they went out to hire Class 3 officers, and we just met with them the other day, and they're committed to giving us the Class 3 officers. They told us that they were going to send us a cost for what it does to outfit each officer. We determined a rate for the officer, and we asked for a job description because personally what we're doing now with the officers in the school, you know, I'll be honest with you, I think we're wasting our money. You know, I mean, don't get me wrong, they are standing there, but I don't know that that's what we're looking to do. You know, I'd like to see them to have a certain patrol regiment, some sort of description as to what they're doing. So we did ask the police department for that description and for the dollar amounts. They just got back to us, I think it was like today, with the dollar amounts. We haven't even had time to discuss it. We did give them a direction on dollar amount, you know, per hour. I still don't believe that that's the answer for us long term. I don't think we're going to be able to cover all the schools, to be honest. So we want to look at other things. You know, we were, like Beth said about the double entrances. I think that's a phenomenal idea to put them on. You don't have to do the entire entrance on every elementary, but you could do a vestibule entrance that's only one door that gives you that double security. We did budget for security officers. And then somebody came and approached me about a student monitoring system that can track active shooters. It's like a AI intelligence thing. I'm going to bring them in to give a presentation to the board. All that does is really help law enforcement in case there is an emergency. So, I mean, overall, between our mental health, the programs that Beth was talking about previously, the police, I think it takes a combination of everything. And the police department is trying, to give us the coverage. Originally, we thought that we were going to get the coverage, but then, what you actually see out there isn't really that. So it's going to be some kind of combination. I don't think we're going to have an officer or a Class 3 in every school. We might have to do more like a Woodbridge or something, where one officer might control 3 schools. We're actually doing this right now. So we just met, I think it was just 2 days ago?
Yeah, Tuesday.
Right, 2 days ago, they just got us that price per officer. I think it was today, right?
I didn't see it. I didn't check my
Today?
email.
Yeah.
Okay.
Email came in today.
I didn't check it
Right,
at the end of the
so
day.
we haven't had time as a board yet to speak about this. I was hoping we'd talk about it in closed session. And then I would hope that they would have these Class 3 officers, online for us for the beginning of the school year.
So Andy, to
Mr.
answer your question, we did say we're going to pay for the $400 psych evaluation.
Well, I personally think that if you had no security and those schools were left wide open, it's one of two things.
Oh.
Either you lock it down and say, that's it, but you get rid of the schools, kids get off for school, or there's no voting. If you can't secure the school, you can't allow them free access to walk in to vote. And putting on signs on the school saying, door is open. That, to me.
Mr. Shi?
Yes,
This is the first I've heard about the cancellation of the psych evals, because I received a few phone calls from retired police officers that applied. And to Mr. Fresco's point, I don't care who pays for it, where it comes from. It's all out of the same tax dollars, and it's our children that we're protecting. So I don't really care if it comes out of our budget, the town budget, a grant, whatever it may be. I mean, I think we're all in agreement. We're trying to protect our children in our schools. And it's as simple as that. Whatever we have to do, we need armed police officers or Class 3 people in those buildings every day.
Well, I just do want to say is, the only, let's say, when we were talking numbers the other day, it was costing, I guess, somewhere around $4,000 an officer. When we just got the bill today, it was, like $6,000 to outfit an officer. So, if it was $4,500, we probably just would have approved it and we would be done with it. But now that you just add an additional $2,000, I think we need to look at that still, because you just don't want to give them they started at $40 for us, and then they couldn't fill the slots, so they made it $60, right? And we agreed to that, but then we still didn't fill the slots. So we don't really want to do that and make that same mistake. If I could go back in time, I'd be at the $40. We'd have the same officers we'd always have, and, well, we'd be saving $20. So I want to make sure that we get that right moving ahead with the Class 3.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, Mrs.
Yes.
I want to thank you for coming here tonight and bringing that up, because I worked all day in the polls from 5:15 in the morning until 8:15 at night. There was no police officer in sight at all in the school in which I worked. The principal came in and said, "Do you have a police officer here?" And I said, "No. Do you have a police officer in the school?" And the principal said, "No." Then I went to another school. I had 1 hour to get my dinner. I went to another school to vote, and I said, "Do you have a police officer here?" "No." So after I voted, I went down to the office and I said, "Do you have a police officer in the school today?" And the answer was no. And then I was told that there was another school, a third school right next to us, same situation. So that was 3 I knew of just on my lunch hour So I went home and I called. And I made calls all around the Board of Ed, the township, the police department, and I got no straight answer from anyone. And I'm wasting my supper hour doing this. So I appreciate your coming tonight and bringing up the issue, and there has to be a better way. What we're doing is not working. 3 schools that I know of, and obviously you know of others, were not covered at all on a primary election day with the children in the building. That is wrong. And thank you very much for coming and bringing it up, because we will discuss it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comments? See none? Let's move on then.
Whereas Section 8 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Laws of 1975, permits the exclusion of the public from a meeting in certain circumstances, and whereas this public body is of the opinion that such circumstances presently exist, now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Education of the Township of Edison as follows. 1, the public shall be excluded from discussion of and action upon the herein specified subject matters. 2, the general nature of the subject matter to be discussed is as follows. Attorney-client privilege discussion regarding student issues, ETA grievances, PERC, unfair labor practices, Donaldson hearings, risk insurance negotiations. Under personnel, we'll be discussing resignations and terminations, retirements, appointments, reappointments, leaves of absences, changes of status, substitute staff, FCCLA appointments, summer appointments for secretaries, ESL summer literacy academies, extended school year, summer school, middle school team leaders, translators, co-curricular appointments, coaching appointments, authorization to employ staff members, authorization to approve home instructors, job descriptions, and restoration of increments. 3, it is anticipated at this time that the above stated subject matter should be made public at such time as the need for non-disclosure no longer exists, and 4, this resolution shall take effect immediately.
Do I have a motion? Mr. Maroney? Mr. Medical?
Who's second? Mr. Patel?
Yes.
Mr. DeStefano?
Yes.
Mr. Brescher?
Yes.
Mrs. Peng?
Yes.
Mr. Erico?
Yes.
Mrs. Madiker?
Yes.
Mrs. Ward?
Yes.
Mrs. Maroney?
Yes.
Mr. Shi?
Yes.
All yes.
I do not think that we expect to come back, so I'll see you on Monday.